It's the Brandon Cruz Daily Fantasy Podcast. Thank you for joining me. We're looking at Nashville Super Speedway this weekend. This is kind of more of like an early week preview, things that I'm kind of looking at entering this week. Obviously, practice data is going to dictate who we play and who we go for in terms of people who are offering great place differential or who have a bad queue time and we know that they're better, or guys that are overqualifying, things of that nature. Obviously, practice data is going to dictate all that. But I wanted to look at quite a few tracks and data points entering this weekend at Nashville, because I think we might be able to learn something. Maybe not necessarily for the Nashville race, but certainly moving forward. We're pretty much halfway through the season, and at this point, we kind of know who's fitting where the competition stands, and things like that. So what am I looking at in this video or in this moment right here? Well, I'm going to be looking at tracks that I think are going to hold importance related to Nashville, how I think this race is going to go. I'm going to be looking at some lap by lap data for quite a few races this year, trying to see if I can tell who I think is going to be fast here. Obviously, like I said, practice day is going to dictate everything, but just to try and get ready for Nashville and hopefully help myself out, hopefully help you guys out. So anyway, let's get right into it. So looking at Nashville, I think it's going to race more like a short track than it does a mile and a half. And what I mean by that is we're going to have a lot of off throttle time, especially in 3 and 4. That's the choke point that I've seen pretty much every series kind of struggle with. Yesterday, I looked back at quite a few IndyCar races here, a lot of nationwide series races here, all the old, racing that I could find here, just to kind of see what the track does to the cars. Not necessarily, it's going to be exactly like this race, or it's going to be exactly like this race. But I think it's going to kind of behave maybe like a Phoenix. Hopefully I'm making sense here. I understand they're going to be going faster. I understand this is shaped like an intermediate track. But when I look at Phoenix or when I look at Nashville, I think of a one groove racetrack. I think of a place that we're not going to have a lot of passing at. I think of a track that is going to be very hard to gain track position, and restarts are going to be the only chance for people to pass. And I foresee whoever the pole sitter is, or certainly the top 4 drivers, kind of staying up front. And so because of that, I'm not only looking at the short tracks this season, Phoenix, just I'm blanking the other places that Richmond. I'm not only going to be looking at those 2 places, but I'm going to be looking at races like Charlotte, like Dover. I think those races, those tracks, those one lane tracks are going to be very important to look at this week. And so hopefully that makes sense. So I'm looking at a combination of short tracks, who has had speed in the 750 package, and then who has been able to actually cut through the field in a one groove racetrack. I've already put in my Discord earlier this weekend that I think, the tracks that you specifically want to target or kind of look at for, a starting base is Dover and other one lane racetracks. So those are what we're going to be looking at first. Then we'll probably go into some short track and lap by lap data there. I'm also going to be looking at some tire data and just hopefully finding things that can kind of give us an idea of, where these teams are going to stack up, where they're going to be. And so they're going to be running the 750 horse package here. So obviously that's high horsepower, low downforce. Even with that said, I don't think we're going to see much passing. I think the race is going to play out very similar to Dover, to where, kind of one guy runs away with the race. They did put some resin down this week at Nashville, and I'm not aware that they use this at many tracks. Like Popkris and other guys have said, like, they use this at other tracks, other concrete tracks, but I can't think of any other ones than Dover. Anyway, the importance of this is because they put this resin on there, and then they've been running the tire dragon over the racetrack for pretty much the last 4 or 5 days in hopes of having some rubber built in the concrete so it doesn't eat up the tires, since this track hasn't been ran in pretty much over a decade. And so I think we're going to have a lot of tire wear this week as well. And so we're kind of adding on to the list of how I think this race is going to go. So let's go ahead and add one lane racetrack. We're going to have high tire wear, or tire wear enough to where we see cars, not necessarily fade, but handle pretty bad once it gets through the run. So I'm just going to put tire wear. I want to look at that as a data point. I also want to look at the 750 package in general for people who I want to see who has done well in the 750 package. And obviously it's going to lean to people like Truex, people like Hamlin. But you kind of have to put all these things together. And Nashville's a pretty different animal compared to the tracks that we've seen this weekend. Last thing is that the left side tires Their running here are the ones that they ran at Kansas and Charlotte, and the right sides are the ones that they ran at Dover this week or this year. You know, Dover is concrete, the same as Nashville. And NASCAR had 2 tire tests earlier this year here at Nashville, and they were seeing excessive tire wear in the first test. Prior to the second test, they put down the resin and ran the tire drag, and just like they did this weekend, it cut the tire wear down a tad. But I think we're going to still see pretty high tire wear this week. Maybe not a whole lot of not enough fall off to where it's like Atlanta, but it's certainly we're gonna lose time. And if you've been listening to me the last week, I've been kind of going through and looking at the percentage of cautions and yellows towards the end of a race. I don't think that's going to really apply to Nashville. Like I said, I think this race is going to be pretty green like Charlotte. But if that is the case and we're going to have a lot of tire wear, I think we're going to have people pitting, certainly late in the race for tires. And that's going to change a whole lot of stuff, because you're probably going to have whoever's leading. If we have a yellow within the last 20, 30 laps, maybe 30 you pit. But if it's like 20, 15, certainly 10, the guys up front are staying out. Guys are going to be pitting for tires farther back, probably around like 8th or something. If this race goes green, then we have a wreck towards the end. We're going to have maybe, 17, 16, 15 guys left on the lead lap. And so there's a real possibility that tires are going to be huge and the restarts are going to be huge here, because, as I said, restarts are pretty much going to be the only time you can really make any passes. And this is such a small racetrack. I know it looks wide and everything, but when you look at old races, regardless of whatever series it was, the choke points were, the exits of the corners and just how tight they are. I mean, coming out of 4, or even in center 3 and 4, the way I was mentioning kind of race like a short track is because guys are lifting. If you've looked at any of the old race cars or any of the old races, they're really not going full throttle. They're all lifting. They're kind of, letting the car sit back down, even though, this type of NASCAR Cup car they run now doesn't have a whole lot of off throttle time. We're still going to see guys like almost getting off the throttle more than we see at intermediate tracks. And so, yet again, looking at places like Richmond, looking at places like Phoenix, to where that off throttle time, who can keep momentum through the corners. That's why I want to go look at those lap by lap times. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get into some lap by lap data. All right, so the first track I'm going to start with, and yet again, I'll go over the order of kind of my importance or my interest in looking at tracks. So I think Dover's probably the best starting point, and then I'm going to be looking at Charlotte and Richmond. I think those are the 3 best tracks this season to look at that, and then you can go ahead and look at Kansas, Darlington, Phoenix. But the first 3 that I really want to look at is Dover, Charlotte, and Richmond. That's just kind of where I feel like it's at, and I've kind of already told you the reasons earlier. But so let's see who was well here. I'm pretty sure we already know who it is. I mean, the Hendrick boys have been whooping some serious butt. Obviously, Truex gave Larson not some problems, but where is it? Where are we at, buddy boy? Gotta find Truex. So obviously Truex started on pole. He led, and then he automatically lost the lead on lap 16. That's when William Byron took over in the Dover race, and pretty much Larson is running second the whole time during this. And so not only has Byron had great short run speed right off the bat here, he was able to pass Larson, able to pass other guys, and get to the lead in that first 20 laps, or that first 36 laps. And so we have a competition yellow. Larson ends up starting, or he gets the lead out of the restart. Byron falls to 3rd, and it's pretty much them walking away with it. So Larson just keeps clicking off laps. Harvick is in 2nd. We got Byron in 3rd. Other guys to note, once we get to around lap 90, where we're kind of around where tire wear is kind of coming in at this point, because we went green around lap 40. So like lap 91, we got Kyle Larson. Here, let me get this all squared away. Let me get that. So you got Larson in 1st, Harvick in 2nd, Byron in 3rd, Blaney in 4th, Hamlin in 5th, Buescher in 6th. And so let's go ahead and look back at Buescher here, since we're on lap 90. Let's see, how did he do? How did he get to 6th? And so Buescher started in 10th. Drove up to 8th at one point and then fell back to 9th before that competition caution. Finished competition caution in 9th. Came out of pit road in 8th. Probably the line that he was in ended up putting him in 6th right now. All right, so back to lap 90. Who else is in the top 10 that we can look at, or who else is of note in this area? And I could suck it. I mean, this could be an absolute boring podcast for you guys to listen to, but I enjoy looking at this type of stuff. And so who else is there? So we got Chase Elliott. He's running 7th, started around 9th on the restart coming out of the competition caution. Logano's fallen back to 8th. He was riding in 7th for a while. We started to see Alex Bowman start to come through the field because on that restart, he was 11th, had a competition caution, came back out 11th, ran up to 9th, went back to 10th, got back up to 9th, and so this is where we start to see, kind of Alex Bowman start cutting through the field. One guy of note who is losing positions coming out of the competition caution was Keselowski. He went from 7th to 8th to 9th, and then he fell all the way to 10th. As we get farther into a run, Austin Dillon's pretty much riding where he was most of the time, rounding out around 11th. So of note, like right now, we're seeing Brad Keselowski kind of fall back to the field. And I think this is the race where Penske struggled. I could be wrong. Truex fell off a cliff. I mean, the Joe Gibbs guys just absolutely missed it here. Truex is all the way to 12th after starting first. I mean, he's dropping like a rock. Bubba Wallace is in 14th. Chase Briscoe's in 15th right now. Stenhouse is rolling in 17th. Who else of note here? This is when Christopher Bell fell off a cliff. He came out of that competition caution 9th, fell to 13th, 15th, 17th, 20th, 21st. Oh my gosh, end of the stage at 21st. And so we saw Christopher Bell struggle here. We saw the Joe Gibbs guy struggle here. And so I don't know if that was necessarily the type of car that they brought, because the whole team as a organization kind of, brought a lemon to Dover. And so of note, I just want to put that in. Joe Gibbs Racing struggled at Dover, but I'll probably go through more and look at that. So, out of the competition caution, Larson still has the lead. Change this. So coming out of the competition caution, Larson still has the lead. Chase Elliott takes second away from Harvick towards the end of that stage and comes out second after they go green. We got Logano starting up front. So Logano in that previous stage, I suppose I'm kind of all over the place. This might be a bad video. Logano came out of the competition caution at Dover. Ran 8th, got up to 7th, fell back to 8th towards the end of that stage, or I fell back to 8th and got back up to 7th towards the end of the first stage. So coming out of the second stage, or coming out of the first stage yellow, let's see, Logano's in 5th, you got Larson in 1st, Elliott's in 2nd, you got Denny Hamlin 4th, yeah, Ryan Blaney 3rd, we got Chris Buescher 7th. This is a weird group of cars here. Interesting. Probably taking too long here, and this is probably really boring to listen to as we continue going through. At the end of stage number 2, do we have a caution here? Let me find these last cautions. How many yellows do we have in this race? I guess we have more than I thought we did. We did 400 laps. Interesting. Anyways, I'm going through here pretty much, and we kind of already know this. This is at this point, in the race. Let's see what lap it was. So at lap 205, that's when Hendrick was 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's officially when they went 1, 2, 3, and 4, and really never looked back after that. Let's take a gander through the field. So at this point in the race, lap 220, Logano's in 13th. And Logano got his finish at the very end on the last run. I think Logano probably had a better long run car. I'll have to look at the lap speeds after this. But it's looking like Logano had a good long run car because he was running 15th and 13th pretty much that whole time until the last restart with 91 laps to go, and then he was able to cut through the field. Harvick pretty much ran in 6th the whole time. Denny Hamlin is the only Joe Gibbs car who was actually able to stay with the Hendrick group the entire time. So pretty much first 100 laps, he's in fourth, third, fifth. Bouncing in and out of 6th and 7th. The race kind of falls to 9th as we see guys starting to cut through the field or gain positions, kind of like Logano. I just think Hamlin kind of had like 7th place car. We saw Tyler Reddick run pretty much the whole race inside the top 12, and he ended up starting he started 12th, held on to 12th pretty much the first time until the competition caution, made major adjustments on pit road or lost time or something, came out 26th, and then was able to drive back up to 19th, 18th towards the end of the first stage. Started 17th to come out of that stage, we had a yellow, and then he was in 14th, 13th, 12th, 9th, 10th throughout the race, up to 6th at one point, 7th. So Tyler Reddick might be a guy that we want to look at. Obviously, just based off of Dover right now, is a guy who I don't mind playing if he's like 7,200 or 7,700 or in this ugly range. Suarez getting that. I'm gonna have to rewatch the end of this Dover race because on that last restart, pretty much the first lap back to green, he's in 6th, but Suarez was running 15th pretty much the whole race, 15th, 16th, 14th. Going all the way back, Suarez had pretty much a top 15 car. I got to see what they did at the end of that. If he got a push and nobody could really pass him or whatever. But right now, the RCR group isn't looking too bad. Obviously, you have Reddick and Suarez together. Cole Custer, I think this is the first week that he was able to actually show up. And it's weird that you have Custer having a good long run when it's needed. You have Logano having a long run when it's needed. Even Bubba. This is when Bubba finished 11th. And Blaney ended up finishing, 12th after running 11th pretty much the whole day. Let's see. Kurt Busch fell off at the end. I got to look back. I got to see what caused Kurt Busch to finish at 13th, because he was running in 5th and 6th the whole race and ended up finishing way worse than where he should have finished there. Same thing with Dillon. Dillon was running 9th pretty much the whole race, 9th and 10th, and just that last restart, got caught up at 16th, 15th, and 14th, finished there. Chastain as well. Ganassi has a kind of like I forgot where they get this stuff from. Well, they got Hendrick Motors. That's interesting. The Chevys are looking really good in this package. I'm going to take a note of that. There might actually be something with manufacturers here. Let's see. Need to look at Ford, Chevy, and Toyota in this package, because take a look at the finishing drivers here at the end of the race. You got Larson. You got Bowman, Larson, Elliott, Byron, all Chevys. Logano and Harvick, 2 Fords. Hamlin, Toyota, and then Chevy with Reddick, Chevy with Suarez, Ford with Custer, Toyota with Wallace, Ford with Blaney, Chevy with Kurt Busch, and Chevy with Austin Dillon as your top 15. Obviously, there's more Chevys in the field, but that's really interesting, seeing how far ahead Chevy is in general. Even if you take Hendrick out, Reddick running 8th at the end of this race, or finishing 8th. Suarez finishing 9th. Dillon finishing 14th. Chastain finishing 15th. That's to note. Those are teams that are not top 15 teams that ran well the whole race at Dover. And obviously you can look through this more at True DFS. I don't want to bore you too much because I'd probably end up looking through this Dover race for the next 4 hours. Just trying to find things because I got nothing better to do on a Tuesday. So let me go ahead and take a gander at Charlotte, because that's the next place I want to see. So early takeaway that I want to look more into at Dover is that maybe there is something with these Chevy cars or these Chevy motors. Maybe just something is going on there. Look at the certain teams, obviously Hendrick, but RCR, Suarez, are looking well. Like, that's not really telling us, who's going to dominate this race, but it's showing us, like, hey, maybe we really need to consider Tyler Reddick and Austin Dillon and Suarez for maybe being able to hold on to their positions in this race. So let's go ahead and look at Charlotte. Let's see if anybody was able to really get through the field on restarts. Because this is a one group racetrack, and kind of where these guys are running early in the race is going to be important. So at the end of the first stage, we had Blaney running horrible at the start, or at the end of the first stage. We had Suarez running terrible. We had Eric Jones, DeBenedetto. Where is Ryan Newman at this point? Newman's in 19th. I want to look at Newman really quick because I haven't looked through Newman's data yet. So this will do two birds with one stone. We're gonna look at Newman at Charlotte. So started 25th, and if you played him like I did here, it was a long night for Newman. So it took him a long time. He slowly and methodically moved through the field, but it was like he's passing one person maybe every 20 laps for position. And so by lap 101, he's finishing 19th, started 25th. Comes out of that first stage, passes for 18th, 20 laps in. Passes for 17th, 38 laps in. Everybody starts pitting, and so he was better than pretty much two people on the long run compared to where he was finishing there. We had a yellow at lap 174. That was Chastain blowing up. Who was that? Let me look. Who was that? I'm pretty sure that was Chastain or Kurt or somebody blew up. I don't remember exactly. That's got to be the first Chastain one, because it was a really short yellow. I have to go back and look. Anyway, back to good old Ryan Newman. I guess I need to look at how Newman did at Dover as well, but we're already here at Charlotte. So, see, Newman finishes this stage at 17, so it took pretty much 100 laps to pass those two people, and it was just passing those two people on the long run. Got up to 11th due to probably a pit strategy, and rode in line 13th. Everybody goes into pit, still running around 13th, so track position was huge here just because you couldn't pass anybody. But seeing that Newman was able to hold on to his position is interesting to look at. Let's see, we have yellow entering the final stage, and I believe that was Newman's. Right, yeah, that was Newman. So if you don't remember, Newman cuts a tire down 4 laps before the end of the final stage at lap 300. He cuts a tire down on lap 295, brings a yellow out, goes multiple laps down, and finishes there. But he was running 12th, and so that at least shows that, yet again, looking at Nashville, I think guys who are going to be able to hold on to position, like track position is going to be everything. We just want to see data showing us that people can hold on to positions here. Another thing to note is let's kind of look at Bubba Wallace, because Bubba did the same thing here at Charlotte. Really didn't fall off too much. Really didn't drop off a lot through the race. So Bubba starts 18th, pretty much running 18th, 19th, first stage. Everybody kind of pits. He cycles to 14th, ends up finishing the stage at 11th. Because I think Suarez pitted or something happened there. I'll have to go back and look at the race there. Anyway, Bubba comes out of the first stage, pretty much running 12th. Goes up to 11th. Green flag pit stops happen. Yellow happens. Pretty much Bubba's still in 14th. Stage 2 ends. Starts 10th. Runs 9th. We have caution period. Bubba back to running 11th. That Newman crash. Bubba's running 9th. Comes out of that. Restarts 16th. Drives up to 15th. Up to 14th. Green flag pit stops happen. Still cycles to 14th and finishes 14th. And so we're seeing that Bubba Wallace at least had speed to hold on in a one group racetrack. Nobody could get around him. Suarez is kind of the same situation here. Let's take a gander at Suarez. I'm pretty sure they were short pitting or he got trapped a lap down. Something happened to Suarez because he was running 29th the whole time. So let's see. Suarez starts. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So he starts like 15th, 16th, I do believe. Why is he at 9th? Did he start 9th? Maybe he did start 9th. I guess he started 9th. Either way. So Suarez starts 9th up to 7th. Then to 8th, green flag pit stops happens, comes out 8th, into stage 1 happens, and he is a lap down in 29th. Drives up 27, 26, green flag pit stops happen. He might get the lucky dog. I gotta look at racing reference. Why is Suarez a lap down? Something happened here. Anyway, Suarez is able to get the lucky dog, I think at the end of the final stage at lap 306. Let me take a quick gander right fast. All right, I'm kind of doing this real time. I brought up Racing Reference to look at the Coca-Cola 600, and it does not have Suarez getting a free pass, or at least the lucky dog. Maybe he takes the wave around. So I pulled the Coca-Cola 600. So we're gonna kind of skim through the race. And you gotta remember the Coca-Cola 600 is basically 2 races because they run daytime and the nighttime. So let's see if I can get all these dang ads off my screen. See, so we're on lap 113. Suarez is 1 lap down. And I'm pretty sure he stays lap down up until lap 300. Or lap 299. Let's see, 23 laps to go in stage 2. Suarez is 2 laps down. Quinhoff nearly wrecks his teammate. I want to see how Suarez got this damn wave around. Suarez is 27, 2 laps down, 15 to go stage 3. Pretty sure Newman blows his tire, right? Yeah, so Newman blows a tire. See how many people pit here. Because Newman blows a tire with 3 to go, or the stage ends under yellow. Yeah, stage ends under yellow. Suarez is still laps down. How does he get these 2 laps back? Alright, so fast forward. Go here. I'm sorry, this is probably really boring. This was a long yellow. Man, Larson was fast. Larson should be the favorite again this week at Nashville. These guys are just clocking off laps. Why is Suarez? How does he get his dang lap back? See, we're at lap 307. Suarez is still in 27. Oh, here we go. We got the so he I guess he's 1 lap down. Lap 308. They probably took the wave around on that caution or something because he was down 2. Didn't see it on the TV. Suarez is a fast car. He was just trapped 2 laps down. Really couldn't pass anybody. But now that he's back to racing people for position, 1 lap down. Him and Alfredo. Alfredo's 20th. Suarez is 21st. Remember, we saw Alfredo staying out a lot and trying to really, lead laps and get lucky at Charlotte. And Alfredo's improving this year as well. How does he get this lap back? This is going to drive me crazy. I don't think it'd take this long. How does Suarez get this goddamn lap back? Or did he just pass people under green? He's 17th. Okay, so let's see. 39 laps to go. Suarez is 1 lap down and 17th. He has driven his way up to 17th. He looks like the fastest car who was a lap down. Yeah, we got another ad here. The main reason I'm looking at Suarez so much is because he already clicked off. He already popped off at Dover. The RCR gang popped off at Dover, and so I'm trying to see if there's any similarities here, if there's anything to be shown here. See, Logano pits because he has a loose wheel or something stupid towards the end of that. Suarez is 2 laps down and 15th. Just got lapped by Larson again. So he never got a lap back. Suarez never got his lap back. He just drove through the field. because he's in 15th ahead of Jones. Logano had a pit. DeBenedetto, LaJoy's been doing well. McDowell's the last guy, 2 laps down with 3 to go. Custer's down 3. Eric Almirola's down 3. Briscoe's down 3. Bell's down 3. Alfredo's down 3. That's interesting, seeing how much speed Suarez had. I was trying to figure out why was he cutting through the field like that. So that's interesting to see from Daniel Suarez. What are we looking at right now? Yeah, we're still at Charlotte. Let's see. We kind of already know how that race played out. Obviously, Austin Dillon, RCR was really quick once again. It's kind of back-to-back weeks, and obviously, the saying is if you're good at Dover, you'll be good at Charlotte, and vice versa. But this is kind of living proof of that. Yet again, RCR, strong top 10 cars, guys that I feel like I'm going to end up playing this weekend at Nashville if they're priced in the 7K range or starting inside the top 10. I'm not worried about RCR. I'm not worried about Daniel Suarez as much as, I'm kind of worried to say that. I don't really hate that. So let's go ahead and take a gander at Richmond really quick. If we can get there. Where are we at? Here we are at Richmond. I vaguely remember this race right now. I'm pretty sure I vaguely remember it because I didn't play Hamlin. So we'll see here. So Truex starts on pole. Yeah, this is the Truex and Hamlin week where you can play them both. That's what happened. So in the 550 package, we're seeing Joe Gibbs be extremely quick. Excuse me. And if you remember, Truex was really fast at Phoenix earlier in the year as well. Christopher Bell is pretty much a top 7 contender pretty much all day. He falls back to 12 at times, but this race went really green as well, and so we're seeing Alex Bowman won this race at Richmond. He did? I don't even remember that. I guess he did. Didn't even remember that. I thought Hamlin won it. So we got Bowman. Where's the other Hendrick cars? So Byron finished 8th. Larson missed on the setup. That's right. Larson missed. And where did the other guy finish? So we have Bowman. Bowman wins. Byron finishes 7th. Where's Chase Elliott? Chase Elliott's 12th. Larson finished 18th. So Larson was 2 laps down. I think that's more the team, not really Larson. I think they arrived at the track with Lemon because the rest of the Hendrick cars stayed on the lead lap. Let's see. So Tyler Reddick struggled throughout the race. Certainly in the long run. Reddick struggled a lot in the long run, despite the fact he started so high up. Let's see. Where's Austin Dillon at in this? So let's see. Austin Dillon was the opposite of Reddick. He starts 11th, drives up to 10th in the race, drives up to 7th. He has good long run speed. He's able to hold on track position. Falling back like 1 or 2 spots in runs, but that's from like 9th to 12th, things of that nature. It's not, really horrible. Oh yeah, we had that late race yellow too. Well, he was still able to hold on. So Austin Dillon is looking for me right now a guy that I think I really need to consider at lineups. Not going out of my way, but if he starts top 10, if he's priced all right, I'm not hating Austin Dillon right now. And this is kind of what I use lap by lap data for more, just to see, I kind of enter a week where I go in to look at lap data to see if I can find data to support my hypothesis of looking at certain guys or not. And as we go through races, I like right here, I'm seeing that, hey, Austin Dillon just so happens to be looking good in these races that I'm looking at. Obviously, I need to cross-examine and look into more stuff. But right now, I don't hate Austin Dillon. Hendrick is probably going to be strong again. They arrived very strong here. It certainly bumps up Toyotas. I think the Yotes have, they missed at Dover. Because typically, like if you look at Phoenix, if you look at Richmond, the Toyotas, Joe Gibbs was hand in hand with Hendrick. And dude, RCR might actually be like the third most consistent here. Like between the tracks I've looked at, it's either Hendrick or Joe Gibbs. Penske isn't really there. Stewart Haas, Harvick's, kind of always there. But as a team, it seems like the people that I think are going to do the best right now, on a Thursday afternoon, looking at stuff kind of just, for the last half hour, it's kind of looking like it's going to be a Hendrick and RCR type of day for that top, 10. These guys are going to be there. And so I have to keep that in mind. And that's something I haven't really looked at this year, of really seeing why Austin Dillon is holding on to so many positions throughout the race. Like, Austin Dillon is no longer a 17th, 18th place driver that I just keep thinking he is. I mean, this car is easily a top 10 car, easily a 7th place contender, depending on how the race goes. Let's see, what else can we look at here, or what else can I do to not bore you? Oh, that's what I can go. Let me look over the optimal lineups really quick for Richmond and Dover. I'll have to look at Charlotte later. So yeah, let's go ahead and look at Richmond. So yet again, this was the week that Hamlin and Truex were both optimal. Hamlin 133, Truex 95.05, and then we had Alex Bowman at 82.65, and so we have Hamlin at 11,000, Truex at 11.4, and Alex Bowman at 8.8. And then you're in the 6K range for the rest of these guys. So Daniel Suarez, Ross Chastain, and Corey LaJoie were the other guys in that range. And you had Suarez with 38.4 points, 4.5. LaJoie with 36 points. Chastain with 31.9, using a 49.5. So 6K range determining everything in this race, and kind of going into Nashville, I'm kind of thinking this is a week to where you're going to probably want to do another, playing 2 guys from the 6K range, 3 guys from the 6K range, maybe the 5K if Alfredo or LaJoie are a bit underpriced there. Let's see, how many fast laps did so Bowman was really quick here, and he got 3 points through leading laps. Let's see, Richmond, so we had, in terms of fast laps, this is what I like to look at more. So you had a Joe Gibbs car, Hendrick, Penske, Joe Gibbs, Penske, Chip Ganassi, Joe Gibbs, Hendrick, and Ricky Stenhouse. That's probably not really helpful to you. I'm just kind of saying that out loud. Looking at Dover's optimal lineup, and this was the Quinn Houff week, where Quinn Houff is still underpriced for whatever unknown reason. You had Larson at 11.5, 164 points. Alex Bowman 92 at 111 points. Chase Elliott 10.7 with 72 points. Then you had Custer at 7,700 for 54.9. Suarez at 63 for 50.45, and Houff just mispriced at 4,600, getting a grand total of 19 points at pretty much a 4.1 value. So Suarez in both these. So Suarez has been optimal in both the 2 tracks we're kind of looking at here. So 66 at Richmond, 63 at Dover. I think Suarez is going to be in the 6K range again. Let's see. At Dover, he got that through place differential mainly because he started 24th, finished 9th. And at Richmond, he started 26th and finished 16th. That's a bit of a worry, since I don't think Suarez is going to start that far back. So we need to keep that in mind. But I think it's going to be another week that you have 3 guys above 9 in your lineup, and then either 6K range or you're punting in the 4K to trying to score a high scoring lineup. I think that's how it's looking at. I think that's how we're playing out right here. I'll probably go look at the tire data off camera, because Yeah, I assume nobody is even listening at this point. Yeah, interesting. So obviously, I think Hendrick's the favorite entering this week. Joe Gibbs, depending on their practice speeds, I'll either be on them or I won't be. I mean, everybody's, in the same boat here, but I would be concerned that they pull a Dover again. Not only because, it's another concrete track, but Hamlin and Truex should either be on par with Hendrick, kind of like they were at Richmond, or they're not going to have a chance at leading the race. That's just kind of how I'm looking at it. I want to really pay attention to the RCR guys, and maybe try and make Reddick or Dillon, kind of a staple of lineups, or really focusing on them, because I don't think they're going to be that I don't think they're going to be that highly owned, especially if they're starting, 11th, 10th, 9th, 8th. I really like that. Suarez, I think we need to consider, we're probably already going to consider him anyway. He'll be either really low 7K range or high 6K range, and if he's any lower than that, if he's like 6'6", 6'5", I don't mind that at all. Those are kind of my big takeaways right now. Let's see. It should be a boring race. It should be a boring race. Track position is going to be huge because I don't think you can pass. I don't think we're going to have wrecks because the Cup Series really don't try and wreck each other unless we have late race wrecks. Then it's going to get bad because you're going to let off so much, especially in turn 3. If you look at old races or old wrecks at Nashville, it's almost always either leaving turn 2 just because everybody kind of meets up on the exit there, or guys get into each other in the center of 3 and 4 because they're lifting. Yeah, one groove racetrack, Larson or whoever starts on pole or the top 3 in speeds in practice should qualify probably top 3, and then those guys would probably be the favorites to lead laps. I don't think fast laps are going to be spread out a ton outside of the top 5. I could be wrong there. So maybe this is a week where you consider playing a lot of your team inside the top 15. I mean, unless there's just absolute brutal misses in queue time. Like, I might want the pole sitter. If I'm playing RCR guys, they're probably going to start inside the top 12. If there's like a cheap Stenhouse, maybe a cheap Suarez up there, I'm okay with that. I don't know if there's going to be much passing here. I really don't. I think Charlotte is a really spitting image of how this race might play out, and maybe looking at those types of lineups, that type of construction, or even Richmond, where it was Hamlin and Truex the whole race. Like, I think it might be a 2-dominator race at max. I don't think they're going to be 3. And so I don't think you need to make 3 dominator lineups, especially if you're looking at practice data and it's pointing towards really, really 2 guys. I think that might be the way to go right now. Early in the week, that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Hopefully you guys like this. We went 43 minutes. If you didn't, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm bad at this, but I kind of just wanted to record this as I looked through some stuff and kind of started my research for Nashville because I got nothing else to do on a Thursday evening. So thank you guys for watching, and catch me next time. PayPal's in the description if you want to support the show, and we'll see you later in the week.